I'll do.
All right. You happy?
Yeah, get on with it.
I was about to get on with it. You started fanning around with your fucking...
God.
Well. Hello there, EastEnders fans, and welcome to another episode of Albert Square After Dark. This week, discussing the episodes of EastEnders broadcast in the UK from the 1st to the 4th of May 2023. How are you? I hope you are very, very well. Viewers and listeners, the stress I've had to go through to get to this point, get to even this point.
You've gone through, we've just had to go through. My God.
Together, yeah. The thing I hate more than anything is when technology doesn't work when it's supposed to, and doesn't, and for no reason as well. Just decides it doesn't want to work.
It's just 2023. Like, you should be able to get phone signal everywhere and internet signal everywhere by now.
When I was in Iceland, I could get phone signal at the top of a mountain. And yet, in my own town, it struggles. I don't get it. But anyway, hello. Welcome to Albert Square After Dark. We are. I'm Rob. Nice to see you. And this, on my left or my right, not quite sure, is Ree. Hello, Ree. How are you?
Hi, Rob. I'm all right now. We're finally getting started.
I mean, it's... For those of you who are just listening on audio, this is completely and utterly irrelevant to you. For those who are watching on YouTube, you may notice that things are a bit different. We're going through some different softwares, trying to see what's working, see what's not. At the minute, we're on Zoom. We may end up going somewhere else later.
Rob's ended up using the software Zoom that I told him to use at the start.
Shut your face up at once, please. Right, so what we will start off with, first of all, anyone who came over from Walford Weekly will know that I have a calendar. And it is time to change the calendar from April to May. So
this is my first calendar change.
Welcome to your first shift for Sharon. This is exciting, isn't it? So this was April. Yeah. God, April's done. And we are moving into May. Oh, that's a nice picture of Sharon, isn't it? Wow, glaring.
Yeah, that's kind of fitting with the England flag.
With all the patriotism going on in the background. That's nice.
What's she holding? She's holding something.
What is she holding? A cup of tea. Look, a cup of tea she's holding there.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, very British, very Sharon. Right, that'll go on the wall.
Brilliant.
And we shall.
Queen
Shazza, and we shall get on with discussing this week's EastEnders, because it's been quite a busy week.
It has.
It has indeed. Let's do it. Right then, ladies and gents, let's start this week's discussion off with talking about Linda and Alfie. Now, Linda is point blank refusing a coronation party. It was her and Mick. It was her and Mick thing, and she's not interested in sort of carrying on doing it without him. Now, Alfie's getting himself a bit excited because Alfie's got like a massive cardboard cutout of Charles. And I mean, all the lot on this show, like the king turns up on their square once, and all of a sudden, like, everyone's best mates with Charlie Boy. Like they've all got like.
Well, it would be a pretty big thing, to be fair, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Alfie weren't there though. He needs to chill out.
Alfie wasn't there. No, you're quite right. It's quite mad to think, isn't it? Really, that all of these people met the future king, and he just turned up on their doorstep. It's quite mad. Quite mad, really. Mm-hmm. Linda is kind of really struggling this week because obviously with all the coronation stuff going on, it's making her think of Mick. She's getting depressed about that. And as well as that, she receives news this week of Janine's sentencing. Janine received 5 years, which Linda reckons she'll be out in 3. Fingers crossed.
Well, she was on good behaviour, probably, yeah.
I mean, it seems difficult for Janine to have good behaviour, especially like in prison.
Well, she knows how to... she's manipulative, so who knows?
What was Janine actually arrested for? Like, what has she been charged with?
This is what I was thinking. Was it for perverting the course of justice? Because...
I mean, it could have been.
Didn't she? No, because she admitted that she was driving the car.
Yeah, so it was kind of an array of type things. Yeah, and also the fact that Janine's hardly like a woman of good character, is she? So
yeah, but to be fair, they should have like confirmed what crime it was, because if we can't remember, I'm sure someone will comment and let us know for sure.
Let us know. Let us know exactly what Janine's crime. I mean, obviously we know that Janine committed an array of crimes while she was here, but I'm curious as to what the police exactly got her for. But Alfie has promised to be there for her, which if that doesn't drive her
Yes.
back to drink, I don't know what will. But she basically said, "Look, I just miss Mick. I just miss Mick." And then the rest of the square is kind of getting into coronation mode. Now, I do expect this with EastEnders. Obviously, it's set in London, and London's obviously quite patriotic because that's where all the Buckingham Palace stuff is. It's interesting to think, isn't it, though, that apparently all these mad coronation parties are planned to be going on around the country. I don't think there's one. I don't think there's one in where I live. Is there one in Sheffield going on anywhere? Is anything being planned?
Good question.
There you go. Any chance of an answer, or do you not know? All right, fair enough.
I can't say I've seen anything. But
no,
actually, I think there is something. I don't know. I'll be honest. It's not something I'm going to be choosing to participate in. So maybe if I was more interested, I would know. So
Reiss not that patriotic. Reiss not that patriotic. Neither am I, to be fair. I've always said about the royal family. They're there. It's a bit like Kellogg's. The cereal company. If that closed down, I'd be like, oh, that's gone. But then I'd move on with my life. So I kind of feel like that. But but there we are.
You know what? We're getting another bank holiday out of it, so there you go.
Well, there we are. So Billy is wanting to get this kind of party started because he's wanted to build up as many memories as he can with Lola before she dies, which we should talk about later. We'll talk about Lola in a bit. But he gets Linda a massive sort of print off of her and Mick meeting the king and queen consort from the Jubilee episode, which is rather good, I thought. Just like an actual someone had a really professional photo taken just as they were meeting it. It was a screenshot from the episode, but that's fine. That's good. And then she will hang that up, and she kind of thinks, you know what, screw it. All right, Mick's there with me in spirit. I will hold a coronation party.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it with the Linda stuff. But Linda and Alfie, what are we thinking? Is there a romance there on the cards? Is that where it's heading? I know they sort of had that conversation a few weeks back, but it sort of feels like...
I think that conversation a few weeks ago was to make us all go, this isn't ever going to happen. This is not going to be a thing. I think that would tell us viewers that it's not going to happen. I don't think it is after that.
Do you know? The thing is, though, I can kind of see sort of similarities that with they have a cheeky chappy thing that Mick and Alfie both had.
Before that episode a few weeks ago, I was convinced that's where it were heading, but now I think they're just a platonic friendship.
I mean, I will be surprised if nothing ever happens between Linda and Alfie. And is he completely over Kat as well? Is that done? Do you think, or is
Yeah, we'll never be over Kat.
No,
she's his lobster.
She's his what? His lobster. Is lobster.
Rob don't watch Friends. There'll be so many people out there who know exactly
I see.
If you watch Friends, you know what I'm on about. Yeah, sorry.
Okay,
sorry.
I get you.
Everyday vocab for me.
Phalange. I knew that one. I know about the. I know about phalanges and monkeys and all of that kind of and chairs that look very comfortable to sit on. But yeah, so that's basically it for the Linda stuff. That will kind of build next week, I think, as we go into the coronation episodes. It's all looking very coronationary next week in EastEnders. So
looking a bit Coronation Street.
So if you're not a fan of the Royalists, then next week's going to be a struggle for you, I think, is all I can really say. So next on this week's agenda, we will be talking about Lola and Jay and Billy. Now, I think what's happening here is that everyone's kind of getting to grips with the fact that Lola isn't going to be around for much longer, and realizing, I think, because Billy's 64, by the way. I can't believe I was
shocked at that. 64. He's older than me, Mum.
He doesn't look it, does he? This is when Billy Mitchell hit mid-60s. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, that is.
Probably crazier to him than it is to us, but we'll start the week with Billy and Honey. We're worried about how Jay is coping, because Jay is just completely and utterly throwing himself into working with cokers and the car lot, and just they think that he's sort of distracting himself and trying to kind of separate it all, and they're worried about him because they think he's doing too much. So Billy decides to get Ben involved, and this led to, I have to say, a really, really, really nice scene between him and Jay. Like, the Ben and Jay relationship has always been one of the show's strongest, and when they focus on those two characters together, it produces some really, really nice moments, because it always shows the softer side to Ben, because he would do anything for Jay.
True.
Jay would do anything for him. Yeah, for his bro. Ben has got in touch with Pam and asked Jay to kind of just be released from duties, still get paid, which is pretty good. But Well, I mean, to be fair, Pam's improved since the last time that she was kind of involved in the business running of Cocos, because the last person that she kind of got involved with was Stuart, and she sacked him, and he was suffering
yeah.
and he was suffering from cancer and had just broken up
Oh
with his
yeah.
missus. And it was all going horrifically wrong for Stuart. So it's like,
Well,
oh,
maybe she's learned.
and you're
Maybe
fired
she's
as well.
learned.
So Pam's got her empathy back, which is quite nice.
Yeah,
Um,
that's good.
and Jay's very grateful for that, so he can just now spend as much time with Lola as he
Yeah.
possibly can.
He needs it though, to be fair, doesn't he?
He does, yeah, and you can sort of,
Especially if,
obviously,
especially if funeral directors are all places that you could be working as well.
Well, this is what I was thinking. Like, it must
Yeah.
be the very worst place for anybody in that situation to work. Like, just surrounded by dead bodies all day. That would be horrific.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that he's not having to do that anymore. So Lola, meanwhile, is distracted with Billy's 64th birthday.
Yes.
She wants to sort of arrange a big old do for him in the Vic. So she arranges a superhero party, and which gave us the cast dressed up as superheroes, which, you know, visually looks quite nice. It took me a little while to understand what the relevance of the superhero thing was until they kept having Lola repeat the fact that.
Oh, I understood it straight away. Actually,
I don't know why it didn't land in my head straight away. I got it by the end.
Yeah, it clicked to me. Yeah.
Billy struggles with this. Billy kind of, because everyone's trying to have fun, and he's all he can really think of is this is his last birthday with Lola. Which again, you can't blame him for. It must be so difficult to sort of see this girl who is so affable and like loving life, arranging this party for him and wanting him to enjoy himself. And he's kind of like, I don't know how to do this. So they have a nice little moment. And they kind of
sat on the stairs in Queen Vic,
and they have a nice moment where they take a photo of themselves, do a selfie, and everything's all good.
Isn't she good, Lola?
Oh, she's amazing.
Like, she's like the glue that's stopping everyone from falling apart, when really you'd think she's the one who should be falling apart. But
yeah, I mean, she said this week, I think, that she's done that. She's gone through the sadness of it. She's just accepting it now, and all she's really concentrating on now is making as many happy memories as she can before she goes.
And she's doing that for other people, I think, more than for herself as well, isn't she?
Yeah, it's a really sad storyline in the grand scheme of things, but it's showing Lola in such a great light before she actually dies. I don't know how much longer Lola has got left. We have seen a few pictures. There's been a few pictures floating around of a funeral and of Jay and Lola at the beach together. So it's heading towards its conclusion, this storyline. It just kind of makes you think, I'm going to miss Lola. You know, for so long, Lola didn't do a huge amount when she was about, like, this is the biggest storyline Lola's ever had, and annoyingly, this is like I've said before, this is the end of Lola. But Danielle Harold has absolutely smashed this, hasn't she? Like, she's been.
It's
incredible.
Such a shame that we've not been able to see her doing, more acting, like a bigger role. Sorry, I didn't know what I was trying to say then.
No, just say,
bigger storylines, that's the word.
You know why? Because Larry is distracted by the fact that she's got an ice pop in front of her, and she's desperate to get back to it.
Not gonna lie, it is distracting me. I'm just staring at it now.
Yeah.
No, come on, we'll carry on recording.
That's very good of you. Thank you very much. So the week basically ends with Billy and Lola sort of happy with it and sort of enjoying each other's company. And I think that's what's going to drive them forward now. Is that it's just going to be kind of making happy memories for Lola. Jay's now got all the time off he needs, so that he can kind of concentrate on Lola as well. And it's nice. It's nice. I think Billy by the end has an all right birthday. But it's really hitting the family hard. The only person that we're not really seeing that much of at the minute is Lexi, and I'm kind of intrigued.
I thought that.
I'm kind of intrigued as to how this is going to affect Lexi going forwards. Because Lexi seems to have been accepted it all quite quickly, I thought. For a kid, this must be the most bizarre, crazy thing to have to go through. And she sort of seems to, she's had her moments where she's been sad and when she's had to have the next bit of news delivered to her. But it's sort of like she's kind of accepted it and everybody else is a lot sadder about it.
Very mature for her age and, accepting of, maybe when she's actually gone, Lola, that's when they're going to hit us with all the Lexi stuff. Yeah, it's going to hit her, isn't it?
Of course it is. And, at the end of the day, it's a kid actor. So it's not.
Do you know what? Honestly, sorry, but the worst part of this entire storyline for me is this is every mother's nightmare is that your child would pass, or that you would pass when your child's young. And it honestly, before being a mum, I wouldn't have been affected. But sometimes when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like crying. It's that bad. Like when you proper think about it. So yeah, the Lexi's got to have some kind of effect, and oh god, I hate it. I hate it, Rob. I hate it. It's too real for me now.
Yeah, see, isn't it interesting? Like, now you're a mother. All of these things
Yeah,
about kids and the effect of kids and their relationships all kind of hits you
honestly,
like a
yeah.
truck, doesn't it?
Yeah,
You
because
know?
you're still watching like, oh, it's kids, they're
Yeah,
eight, and I'm
I,
like, oh my god, the poor
yeah,
child.
I ain't having kids. You're all right, thanks. Everyone else's kids are lovely, and your kid's lovely. I'm just glad she isn't here right now. You know, so
Oh, like last week.
yeah.
What you guys didn't see behind the scenes last week. My God.
Oh,
Bless
bless her.
her.
She wasn't well, was she? She wasn't well.
No, she was not well. We were having to constantly stop recording so I could go and keep an eye on her because she was absolutely screaming. Tonsillitis. She's on antibiotics. She's fine now, but yeah. It
Young
was
mothers
quite
will know.
something, weren't it?
It was quite something, and your young mothers will know exactly what Rhea's going through right now.
Yes, she will.
So yeah, that was all very nice. And I'm really looking forward to I say looking forward, but as this story kind of moves on, it's going to get worse. It's going to get sadder. It's going to get sort of more emotional, but
Mm-hmm.
it's going to give some characters that before haven't had a huge amount of time in the spotlight, like Jay. This is going to be an absolute
Yeah.
powerhouse
Yeah.
scenes for Jay. I
I
can't
think
wait.
Jay's just going to fall apart. He's going to keep it
Yeah,
together while she's here. As soon as she's gone, that's going to be it, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Kind of made me think of it when I was watching the Ben and Jay scene. It's just like it's nice when Ben is the supporter rather than having to be supported. Which
That is true.
with everything that's going on with Ben at the moment, I hope that isn't taken away.
Mm,
That isn't taken away because when Jay needs help, Ben is great.
mm,
And Jay is so good at being sad. The way he just dissolves into tears really hits
yeah.
me every single time. So there's
Yeah.
going to be a lot of that over the coming weeks, and just I kind of look forward to it, but don't look forward to it at the same time. So there we
Did
are.
you
Right.
click, by
Go
the
on.
way, sorry, one last thing. Did you
Yeah.
click when Ben, Callum, Jay, and Billy were sat in calf?
Mm.
That they mentioned that they were going to have a meeting about the whole custody. I can't remember what phrase they actually use now. Do you
Well, it's
remember
kind
them
of
mentioning it?
joint custody thing. Yeah. So that
Yeah,
they've
is it joint custody they're calling it? They're
well,
still
yeah.
calling it that?
The fact is that Lexi's effectively going to have three dads. So Ben,
Yeah.
Callum, and Jay. I wonder how that's going to go in the long run.
Yes, this is what I'm wondering.
I mean, it's going to be interesting. I'm glad that Jay's going to have a huge amount of involvement. That's nice because
Mhm.
it means, and I think Callum's going to have to kind of step forward because obviously Ben's got his stuff going on. Jay's going to have
Yeah.
his stuff going on, so I can kind of see Callum being left holding Lexi
Yeah,
while the other
true.
two are kind of getting over their own
Which would be
issues,
good, even though he'd still be part of Ben's story. It'd be nice to see Callum actually, having his own
having a role.
things
Yeah,
to deal with. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Right then, let's move on to the next story. Okay, some tiny stories now. We'll start with Denise, Jack, Ricky, and Amy. Now, all seems to be going a little bit better in the Branning/Fox household at the moment, but that
Yes.
is mainly because the kids are desperately trying to manipulate the situation.
Yeah.
The four of them start the week sitting in the cafe together, and they're talking about going to an escape room. And Denise
Yeah.
is kind of making the kids laugh, and they're enjoying her company. And Jack
Yeah.
kind of notices this and says, "Right, do you want to come to a board game night?" Now they go to this board game night. The kids decide, I don't know what they're playing, some game that involves board game money. So
Oh, yeah, yeah.
they take this money off Jack when he's out in the room and goes, "Yeah, we can have it back if you promise to let Denise move back in." Now I'm not sure that kind of qualifies as a bribe. What, you're not going to give me back this paper monopoly money if I don't allow my cheating fiance or
Yeah.
cheating wife to move back in? I'm not quite sure how that works. But they kind of have a conversation, and Jack is clearly struggling with trusting Denise still, understandably. But he says, "Oh, yeah, I still love you. I still want this to work." So Denise is kind of like, "Well, so it's surely not much longer for those two to sort of kind of
She'll
get
be
back
back
together."
by next
Yeah,
week, Rob.
yeah.
She'll be back in. Yeah. That's where it's leading to. That's what it were about. Just showing that little snippet, and I reckon she'll be back there by next week and they'll be teaming up against Ravi.
Well, Ravi's kind of building up enemies. Him and Nish are,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of suggests
Aren't they
that
just?
yes, I still it seems impossible that it's anyone other than even Nish or Ravi on the
Yeah.
Christmas Day duff, doesn't it? I mean, I
Oh,
can't see it being anyone else at this stage.
could be Keanu, to be fair, but I don't think it is. It's definitely
No,
Nish or Ravi, isn't it?
it's
Anyway,
got to
when we
be.
talk about that, I'll tell you my
Yeah,
theory when we
yeah,
get
yeah,
onto
yeah.
that.
And the other really small story, this was right at the end of the week, really kind of small and seemed weird, and I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but presumably we'll learn more next week. Finlay, if you remember Finlay, we haven't seen Finlay in ages.
Oh, yeah, I remember that guy, yeah,
remember that guy? If you remember, he's been working on this car that Avery left them, this old claptrap old banger. I know how that car feels, trust me. And Avery he discovers when he's trying to fix this car, he goes underneath the car and then discovers this silver chain or like really expensive looking necklace.
Big fat diamond necklace.
Now, I would argue that this required some sort of chess game level planning from Avery. So he's going to put this necklace on the bottom of the car in the hope that Finlay or Felix. It's not going to be Felix, because why would Felix look underneath the car? Because Felix has no interest in mechanics whatsoever. So it was going to be Finlay out of the pair of them. But in the hope that Finlay is the one that goes looking under the car first, and then finds his necklace apparently hanging down from the bottom of the car.
And that a mechanic's not going to find it. Also, why has it took them this long to find this necklace? Like, they've been working on that car for ages. Yeah. That is not the first time that they've been under that bonnet. No way.
And he even asked Ben at some point this week, will you have a look at this? And Ben was like, no, I'm not doing that. They could have taken this, proving that they could have just taken this car to a mechanics, and the mechanics definitely would have just been like, swipe, having that. I didn't know that was there.
Maybe it's not from Avery. Maybe it's from whoever originally owned the car, and it's been somewhere in the car. I don't know where you'd actually put that, though, by the way.
No, I mean, the glove compartment.
But where in the car would it be kept? Where it's not getting damaged?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, but how would it be in glove compartment and he finds it under the car?
What? No, I mean, you should have put it in the glove compartment rather than sticking
sorry,
it under
I thought you were saying that's where it was. All right.
No, it's not like a really long glove compartment.
Yeah.
Well, presumably we should discover exactly what is going on there next week, but it was just sort of like a tease, I think. But I mean, nice to see Finlay, because we don't really see Finlay very often at all.
We don't see him at all, do we?
This is the most he's done in weeks, was to go under that car and find that necklace and look all confused. And I can understand.
Do you think he's going to hide it from Felix or something?
Well, no, because he's told Bernie, hasn't he? So, but Bernie kind of knows about it. So there's no reason. Drop me a pen. There's no reason for him to kind of hide it from Felix. So I don't know.
I just wondered why he told Bernie and not Felix. Why we saw him telling Bernie.
Not because Bernie happened to be there. She kind of turned up at the house, didn't she? So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But it's a curious affair. So it is not just Billy who is celebrating a birthday this week. Come the coronation, Queen Sonia will be celebrating her birthday, and she is kind of hoping that Reiss is going to do something about it. Reiss, however, is perfectly well distracted with the coronation, and I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding because he's planning a party, and Sonia's like, "Oh, it's party's for me! How lovely! What a fabulous boyfriend!"
How did he not click there? She literally said like, "Oh, I've got a birthday card in post from my mum," and then he's like, "Oh, let's have a party."
Well, to be fair, I don't think that card was necessarily a birthday. I don't think she actually explicitly said.
Oh, did she not say birthday card?
No, she didn't say birthday card. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, you would probably go, "Oh, is it a card? What? Why?
What other card would it be?"
Yeah, but this is Reiss, and Reiss kind of struggles with cues and all that kind of thing. So you can sort of buy that. And there's a complete misunderstanding between the two of them, because Sonia thinks that he's planning a party for Sonia, and Reiss is planning something for the coronation. And then she kind of realizes later, because there's a scene where she's talking to Kathy. Trust me, we will get to Kathy.
I was just thinking about that, yeah.
We will get to Kathy. We'll talk about Kathy when we get to the christening, because Kathy was phenomenal this week. And the kind of misunderstanding is realised, and Sonia's quite saddened by that.
Yeah.
So Rocky gets involved, and he kind of buys Sonia a little card game. This card game, I would argue that this card game has so much more to it rather than just let's get to know each other. He got it from like a knicker store, so this is definitely a sex card game.
I thought that, yeah, innit? And they're like, "Oh, write 3 things that you like about me." I thought you bought this off at knicker store, Sonia. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, that card game would have been filth. Let's be perfectly honest. Filth, absolute filth. But Reiss enjoys playing it, and it is here that he discovers that it's actually Sonia's birthday on the Saturday. So he's kind of like, "Oh, right, yeah, we'll do something." What a nice thing for you to be celebrating your birthday when the whole country is celebrating the coronation. And Sonia's like, "Do I care about the coronation? I just want you to play all the attention on me." And so Reiss kind of pulled her out of work one day and gets her a lovely big cake, which claims he baked himself.
Right, nice that cake.
Did look a good cake. Did look a good cake. Love a good cake. And during this, his phone is going off because he's organised this whole thing with the band. So he's got like people from the French horn section and like
Johnny French horn.
He's all his band people. But Sonia turns his phone on silent because she's sick of like the attention not being on her, quite frankly, and I don't blame her.
Of course.
But during this, we get to see that Debbie is calling Reiss. Now,
Debbie whom?
Well, now we've not really discussed this since me and you have been a thing on this podcast. So, Reiss's wife. What are your theories on that?
Exact same as Alex. Hi, Alex. I'm saying this when I'm watching. The exact same. That she's in some kind of care home. I'm wondering if she maybe got early onset dementia or something. Or
it seems
some kind of
Well, Rocky overhears Reiss on the phone and because he basically says, I love you, I'll never let you down again.
I love you,
and that's what Rocky overhears. However, what we also heard was Reiss kind of talking to someone and then talking to Debbie. So it was kind of like
exactly.
I think home
he's having to speak to someone and say, "Oh, can you put her on the phone, please?" Because she's not got her own phone or something. Yeah,
exactly. But so like maybe she's even in a home or she's got an in-home carer. So something's going on there. But I have to say, I mean, Reiss is great. I really, really like Reiss.
Oh, he is. He's so good. He's so good.
He's very funny, and he's a really interesting character that I don't think he's the kind of character that EastEnders hasn't had in such a long time, with someone who's just kind of socially awkward and sort of doing his own thing. But he's really interesting. He's like, he kind of scratch away at Reiss, and I bet there's a lot more that we have to discover about him.
Definitely.
But he's kind-hearted. He's got a good heart. He's a nice bloke, and I think he works really, really well with Sonia. And it's nice for Sonia to have someone to bounce off with, because she's been rattling around in Dot's house on her own for ages. You know, kind of with the Dotty stuff that was going on, but it's really nice to sort of have Sonia having someone to play with and in a relationship. I'm really, really enjoying it. But yeah, where's this going to go? So Rocky has now overheard this phone conversation. So is he going to tell? He's presumably going to tell Sonia next week.
Well, he's going to tell. Yeah, of course he is. He's got to, hasn't he?
I mean, to be fair, any opportunity for Rocky to sort of kind of get in Sonia's good books, he's always interested in, isn't he? Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be interesting.
I think Sonia will be very understanding and probably help him through it. Like you've said before, I think it'll be like similar to when Jane first came in.
Interesting, because I think what's going to happen is that she's not going to listen to anything that he's saying and chuck him right straight out of the house.
Really? Oh no.
We'll see.
I think she might do that at first. That is true. But if it's that he's got a sick wife, then surely it's near Sonia, isn't it?
I mean, you'd think that Sonia would be all up for that, but we don't know if that's a secret. That's just our assumption at the moment. But
that is true. What else could it be?
I don't know. What else could it be?
He's not a type of guy to just have some random affair, is he?
No,
it's not going to be that.
Not the slightest.
It's not going to be that at all. No.
I can only think that it must be kind of a sick wife that's dying or something. And
it's got to be.
I mean, on that though, you know, he is also having kind of like a completely separate relationship with another woman whilst this. So that's not all good, is it? So
no, that is true.
So I think there might be more to it, because I don't think that they're trying to paint Reiss as a bad bloke, and I really don't want them to, because I love Reiss and I want him to kind of stay as he is. I don't know though. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But let us know in the comment section what you think might be going on with the Reiss storyline. I'm intrigued to know your thoughts, viewers and listeners. And so to the final story of the week, and this was the big story that kind of went throughout this week. It was the christening of Albie and all the madness that went on around it. So preparations for the christening are underway. Everyone's called suited and booted. I have to say, Monday's episode with all the hot men in all their hot suits, I enjoyed. I bet
you loved Zach in that suit, didn't you?
Well, I enjoyed all of them in their suits, actually. Keanu, Martin, Zach, they all looked lovely. Wow, handsome men. But Keanu is kind of put out when 3-year-old Albie is unimpressed by a gift of a piggy bank, because he's far more distracted with sort of like this Scalextric set that Zach and Martin have got him. Is it Scalextrics?
Yes, but they didn't use the brand name.
No,
I think that's the name of the brand.
Is that still a thing, Scalextrics?
Apparently. Well, Albie's got one and he loved it, so...
I had one when I was a kid, but I don't know if... But I mean, what did Keanu think was going to happen here? Did you think that Albie was just going to kind of abandon this toy car set on the floor and be like, oh my God, a piggy bank! Oh my God, you're the best man in the world! Bless him.
Well, it's real silver, like Get him one from Poundland. He don't care about real silver. I know it's gesture, but come on, man.
It was more trying
I'm not being funny. Like all of these money troubles he's putting on himself, it's actually peeing me off this week. It's like, I just want to provide. It's like, no one asked you to. No one asked for a christening. You just decided it last week.
This is true. This
anyway,
is true.
Sorry,
I mean, because he puts himself into more trouble this week, because I think that was literally it. That is like, because Albie wasn't immediately impressed. He was like, right, I need to get more. So he goes to Ravi and goes, yeah, I'll do this job, whatever. And Ravi puts him on to this delivery. So he has to take this van to this unspecified location and pick up some washing machines that have got all this cocaine inside them. Keanu doesn't know it's cocaine. Now,
just weed.
This kind of confirms our theory from last week, because we were really confused. We were confused by this, weren't we? So
they didn't make it clear enough at all last week.
Well, I don't know if they didn't. I don't know. There was some confusion, but we now know that it's cocaine and weed. But he turns up at this location. Now, there was someone watching him.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say. When he noticed the tyre were flat, like the person who made the tyre flat was watching him.
Yeah. Like, who was that?
Was it Ravi? Was it Ravi?
I don't think it was Ravi. It wasn't Ravi. I don't think it was the police either, was it? I mean, were they watching him? I don't know what happened there. Now, I don't know whether this is Christos, like playing games with Ravi.
I just assumed it were Ravi. I assumed it were Ravi.
No, it definitely wasn't, because all of what happened was a complete surprise to Ravi. He wasn't expecting any of this.
Was it a surprise? Or did he set him up because he knows police are on his back? So no, because
I don't think Ravi knew what was going on here, because my theory was that it was Christos. It was just sort of playing games with Ravi and sort of trying to kind of...
Why would Christos do that, though?
I don't know.
He's got no beef with Keanu.
But it's not like the police...
The only person I can see who's got an incentive would have been Ravi to get the police off his back and set Keanu up with.
Yeah, but he didn't know the police were on his back about that. Until...
Yeah, but he knows they're on his back, so he might have assumed that they've got some kind of... I don't either.
I don't know.
Who was it?
This is what I mean. It makes me wonder if there's more to this, because clearly it's maybe someone's got a vendetta against Ravi going on in the meantime. Maybe it was Nish. Who knows? I mean, Nish is...
I did wonder that, actually. But why would Nish snitch on Keanu unless it's a weird control thing in it? I don't know.
Who knows? We'll have to wait and see if that plays out any further. But Keanu arrives at the christening because he's had to deal with his flat tire, which, whether it was flat or slashed, I don't know. Again, I don't know whether that was deliberate or whether that was just kind of coincidental that it was flat, or what was going on there. But he arrives at the christening with all these washing machines in his van. Goes in. Now, the christening itself is all very nice and all very, very lovely. Sharon kind of tells him off for being late, but other than that, the service itself goes absolutely fine until the van alarm goes off, and then everyone has to go out. Yeah. Everyone goes outside, and the police are all there, and they immediately start searching the van and kind of cutting away at the washing machines and find the cocaine. And Keanu is arrested. For possession of Class A's.
And shocked because he didn't know there were any coke in it.
Well, exactly, and Sharon's furious. So he gets arrested, and the next episode is sort of Sharon trying to deal with it all. Now, Sharon, I have to say, this week was quite impressive because of everything that was thrown at Sharon this week. She kind of just took it in her stride, because this ain't her first rodeo. Like, I
was going to say, she was married to Phil, weren't she?
I mean, the stuff that Phil used to throw at her, this is nothing. This is small fry, but so she's got immediately saying, like, yeah, don't say anything. I'll sort you out a solicitor and all that kind of thing. Tries to get Richie. Phil's like, no, I'm not doing nothing.
I mean, fully fair.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. You kind of forget that, at the end of the day, Keanu did take Phil's missus.
Take his missus, yeah.
So you can kind of understand that. Keanu. Meanwhile, the after party is going on at the Vic. Now, we shall now turn our attention to the highlight of the entire week, which was drunk Kathy.
Yes, amazing, just amazing. Also, I loved that outfit she was wearing as well. I actually wanted that.
She did. She looked gorgeous. I mean, she starts drinking the bubbly and says, "This does get me drunk. I shouldn't really drink this."
Yeah, and I'll have another one.
I'll have another one. By the end of it, by the end of the ceremony, by the end of like the after party, Kathy is hammered. And it was just marvellous, because there was a really, really nice scene where that she was kind of just getting emotional about remembering Martin's christening and talking about Arthur and talking about Pauline, talking about Lou with such venom. It's like, Fish is horrible. She's horrible.
Fish is so bad.
It was amazing. And then she kind of just gets taken outside, led home by Sonia and Martin, like dancing away in the streets. It was beautiful. I absolutely loved every second of it. Now, I will say though, whilst this scene did go down very well online, and everyone was kind of like, "Drunk Queen Kathy, we love Kathy," because I want Kathy drunk in every episode. There was a few people that were kind of like, "Does this mean something though?" Because there was a comment last week that Rocky said that Kathy liked to drink. So I
didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, was it just a funny scene to sort of lighten everything else that was going on,
or is it going down here?
or was it laying seeds? Was there more to it? Now, I kind of hope not, because I know that it's the kind of duty of the soap to sort of point out every now and again, shouldn't get drunk. Drinking's bad.
Too much,
excessive drinking. But do you know what? Every now and again, people get drunk and they're funny.
Yeah.
And I'd like it to sort of stay with that, because Kathy's been drunk before and has always massively entertained me. I love drunk Kathy. And I hope it kind of just stays with that. But then you've also kind of got to wonder what exactly Kathy's involvement is in the sixth storyline.
Was there a purpose for a... Oh.
So why is Kathy involved in the storyline? It's the question at this point that we don't really know the answer to. Like the others, you can sort of maybe understand.
I keep forgetting that she's one of the six.
Yeah, exactly. So like, why is Kathy involved? Like, is this something to do with it? Is the question.
I didn't. Oh yeah, we still don't know if she's involved. Oh
yeah. So I mean, it could still be Rocky lying on the floor on Christmas Day. A whole load of stuff can still happen there that we don't understand what's going on. I don't think it is at this stage. That was my initial suspicion when this started, but I'm thinking not now. But anyway, yeah, Kathy was amazing, and I loved every second of it. Meanwhile, Ravi is kind of, once he hears about the arrest, and this is what makes me think that Ravi absolutely knew nothing about this, because once word of Keanu's arrest starts to kind of ripple around the square, Ravi's really perturbed and actually just goes up to Sharon and goes, right, okay, so if he grasses me up, I'm going to kill him. Which, you can't fault him for his directness. Dealing with the wrong woman though, because Sharon immediately rings the police.
Scared.
Whilst delivering a fantastic smirk at the end. Loved Sharon's. Great smirk. Which Phil is kind of like totally against. He's like, this is a really bad idea. You can't ring the police. This is just going to put people in more danger. And Sharon's like, am I bothered? Do I care?
Well, hang on, because we haven't mentioned the fact that he gets told, doesn't he? He gets a phone call, presumably from Christoph.
Yes, well,
which is what leads to Ravi's.
Yes, exactly. I've jumped ahead because Keanu is released because the police don't really have that much, because he can just literally say, all I knew, I was delivering washing machines. I didn't know what was in them, which the police can't really argue with. So he gets back to the square, and like you say, Ravi does receive a phone call from Christoph and is told to deal with Keanu, told to beat him up. And he doesn't want. He kind of is reluctant at first. It's like, is that really necessary? But then Christoph is kind of like, yeah, do it.
Which is why I wondered if it was Ravi who'd set him up. Because then he was like, I didn't want him to get beat up for it.
Yeah, I don't think that makes sense, because otherwise it would, like I say, imagine, remember how surprised he was and kind of how perturbed he was by the fact that Keanu had been arrested and was really worried that his name was going to come out. So if anything, he wouldn't leave someone like Keanu. Nobody would leave someone like Keanu in charge of a delicate operation like that if you thought that he was going to get reported to the police. So. So we'll find out something's going on with Christos, I think, and sort of Christos and Ravi's relationship. There's something with Christos that we don't know.
Well, we introduced to him last week.
Yeah, there's something going on. Yeah. There's something going on with him. But yeah, Keanu was beaten up unconscious by Ravi right in the middle of the square. It's found by Phil.
Sorry, another brutal attack from Ravi there, by the way.
Ravi is very handy with his fists. He knows what he's doing on that
I was like, why is Ravi being up for Villain of the Year award? And now I'm like, this is why.
There he is.
It is this villain.
So
still feel a little bit sorry for him there.
It's hard not to, isn't it? It's hard, even though he's an arsehole and he's a bad person, but there is still that layer of sympathy for him, isn't there?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? They've done that well though, to be fair, because he's doing all this bad stuff, and I'm still like, I still kind of feel sorry for the guy. I don't think he's all bad.
Yeah, I think it's because the arrival of Nish has added a couple more layers to Ravi. So
you kind of understand the reasoning behind why he's the way he is.
Yeah, and then even the fact that Nish is around kind of makes Ravi means Ravi is better by definition.
Oh, yeah,
my phone
true.
going off.
Yeah,
exactly. So talking of Nish, he gets involved in this because Ravi is arrested because of Sharon immediately phoning the police and going, yeah, I'm not scared of that. Police, could you please come and arrest this man? Ravi's taken away. Keanu is really worried about this because Keanu regains consciousness after having a collapsed lung. Walford General deal with that perfectly, like Walford General always do. Walford General is like a Pokemon Center. Like you just go
They're
in.
quite common, collapsed lungs, actually, in people his age. In young men, collapsed lungs can be quite common.
I didn't know that.
But they take a long time to recover properly from it. Yeah,
he's
definitely.
All right. He'll be all right, I think.
Be back home next week.
By next week. He might hold onto his chest a little bit like they do when something's gone wrong inside. Like, walk around with his hand on his chest, but he'll be all right apart from that. But yeah, Nish gets involved with this because he overhears Ravi sort of winding up Sharon. And he's all worried about reputation and all that kind of thing. But he rings his solicitor because at first he's kind of like, no, you can deal with that all on your own. You're bringing shame to me and you're bringing shame to the family. But then he kind of sees what effect this is all having on Nugget, so he agrees to ring the solicitor.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Keanu has kind of gone back on his statement and said like Ravi had no involvement whatsoever, so Ravi is released. Meaning that Nish eventually goes to the hospital where Keanu and Sharon are and just gets all threatening. And it's sort of like, if anything like this happens again.
Oh yeah.
Which is interesting.
Sharon grabs him by the face.
Yeah, which is interesting because again, if we were to know that it's Nish on the floor on Christmas Day, then that would be kind of Sharon nicely and firmly in the suspect list. But it's
definitely.
But they would also put Ravi in the suspect list. Same with Ravi.
Yeah, I was going to say she could easily
Thus far, you've kind of got if we were to say that Ravi's on the floor on Christmas Day, you've got Denise firmly in the suspect list. And you've got Sharon now in there.
Sharon now,
Suki, you can kind of see, right? So she will find out that Ravi that Ravi framed her. So that would put Stacey hasn't got much of a reason yet. Kathy certainly hasn't.
Ranvir stuff.
Yeah,
because Kirat's gone down for it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so
that could be Stacey's.
So there's
motivation.
All the kind of pieces are being
Kathy
put into
and Linda
place.
there.
Yeah,
well, Nish is going to get nasty with Linda about him
the
not
Vic.
getting Queen Vic.
Yeah.
And then Kathy's the only one. We still don't know how she's going to be involved.
Oh, I love it.
Can I tell you another theory?
Go on.
It's probably completely out there and ridiculous, but
maybe. Yeah, go on.
I think Nugget's going to have done it. I think Nugget's going to attack Ravi.
Possible. Yeah, it's possible because he's struggling with all this, isn't he? He's really kind of struggling. Yeah. Struggling with the effects.
Throwing in random scenes and being like, "Oh, my dad," blah blah blah. So I did wonder, could it
possible?
Be Nugget?
Possible. But by the end of the week, kind of Sharon v Nish is firmly established. So it's going to be interesting. Sharon's
been fierce this week. She slapped Keanu, which, by the way, I think is completely out of order.
Do you?
Yeah, totally. I don't see how it's okay for a woman to hit a man at all or anything like who's in a relationship with him. I don't think that's acceptable.
That is always kind of a thing that kind of gets talked about when women hit men in soaps, because it's kind of like it's certainly not acceptable
casually and then just exactly. I don't think that's fair. Like
it's a big soap thing, isn't it? And you sort of
I know, but it's 2023.
I know,
but it's not cool.
I know, but it's kind of it's mad, isn't it? It's one of those things that sort of is accepted in the world of soap. But like in other dramas, it would be a completely different matter altogether. So it's a very soapy thing.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I know, and I know what you mean. It's you're kind of thinking about 5 years' time, are we still going to be seeing scenes like that? You know, as kind of taste change and perceptions change, all that kind of thing.
Like, there's just no need. Just say it with words. But anyway, obviously, I actually think it was so that we'd have the lead up to her then trying to go for Ravi, and then obviously. Sticking up to Nish and grabbing him by his face as well. I mean, they're fair. Do what you want them to.
Do it like with Nish. Do it like with Nish and Ravi. That's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very interesting. Can't wait to see where this is all going. The Six stuff is kind of ticking along nicely. We've got so much more to come for it. And it was a busy old week this week. A lot of storylines. A lot going on. Do let us both know in the comment section what your thoughts were on any of it. Throw your discussions out there. Keep the conversation going. Your gold star this week, Ree, who would it be?
Kathy. It's got to be Kathy.
Same.
After that performance.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfectly pitched. Very, very funny. Yeah. And I want drunk Kathy much more often. If Kathy has to become an alcoholic in the process, so be it. I don't mind.
That'd be right. She's fun, isn't she?
Yeah, Kathy Berry. Loved it. And she didn't have a hangover the next day either. Considering how drunk she was absolutely fine at work the next morning.
She went to have a day off. Yeah.
Puts us to shame. Puts us to absolute shame. I would be
At her age and getting on with it.
I'm not great with hangovers, and Kathy's kind of like water off a duck's back. Yeah, absolutely fine.
I don't even have hangovers because I don't drink enough anymore to get them. So
well, no, in fact, I'm fairly sure that when Sonia was leading her home, Kathy was talking about tequila that was in the kitchen that she probably started going on when the door was
come
closed.
on, go to bed. Yeah.
Love it, absolutely love it. So yeah, gold stars for Kathy. Fantastic stuff. Right, final part of the podcast, everybody, is where we will turn to the socials and your comments. So on to your kind emails and your messages. Before we read them, I do want to give a little update on the poll that I kind of threw out there on at E20 After Dark, our Twitter account. The question was, would you accept an outlandish plot device to bring the sisters back? And the poll closed with 61% saying yes, bring them both back. No, it would be too daft, got 17%, yes but only Roxy 21%, and yes but only Ronnie 1%. So thank you very, very much
1% for just
voting
Ronnie. Wow.
Yeah, well, I think people just want them both back.
Want both, yeah.
And keep an eye on our YouTube channel, because I may or may not be working on a little video about the sisters. So watch this space. Right, we've had a couple of emails that I'd like to read out this week. Our first one is from Dan Wilson, who says, Alfie Moon's two most recent returns in 2018 and last year really irked me. Same old, same old. I thought, until just now, having just watched him tell off Linda and Karen for gossiping about how Zach contracted HIV, you might want to keep the guessing games to a minimum, yeah? In all his years in the square, Alfie has never said anything near as sensible and mature as those 11 words. It was exactly what needed saying about the subject at that moment, and for Alfie to be the one to say it was a very pleasant surprise. I may just like him for a few more days. Yeah, I mean, Alfie is a tricky one, isn't he? Because when he came back, the whole thing with him and Cap kind of felt like it was very much treading old ground. It felt a bit weird in places because he was, sort of forcing Cap to kiss him and all that kind of
just a bit triad and yeah.
And whereas I quite like him with Linda. He's never gonna. I don't think Alfie will be my favourite character or anything, but he's
not as offensive with Linda, is it? He's giving him more purpose than just chasing Cat and being actually quite creepy, really, about it. Like, she's told mate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Cat and Alfie thing is done by any stretch of the imagination, because Cat and Phil, even now they've been together much longer than I ever thought was possible, and I don't hate Cat and Phil, but it doesn't feel.
I don't hate Cat and Phil. At first, I was like, what are they doing?
Let's be honest. At first, it was two random names that were pulled out of a hat, and they've sort of tried to work at it and make it work, and they're an interesting pairing. It still feels a little bit weird, but I don't hate them. But in the long run, I can't see them getting married. I don't think it's going to be Cat Mitchell by any stretch of the imagination.
They're definitely just trying to replicate the whole Peggy, Frank, Pat
with Sharon. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I like that relationship between him and Sharon. So if it gives us that, then maybe it's not so bad. Yeah. But I certainly don't see Cat and Phil lasting the long term ever in a million years. You had an email as well?
Yes, this one is from Claire Radigan, who says, "Hi, Rob and Ray. I would totally accept an outlandish plot to bring back Roxy. I think she could mention where Ronnie is, as Roxy better fits in with current storylines, at least for now. Here in the US, we've had many soap characters come back to life. Plots range from long-lost twins to fake deaths and misidentified bodies. Bring it on, Clenshaw. Love the new podcast. The music and graphics are edgy and modern, and you're a great team. Best regards, Claire Radigan." From Matawan, New Jersey. I'm guessing NJ stands for USA.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Claire.
We're worldwide famous, love. I don't know if you're aware.
I think that's amazing that we're reaching somebody that's somewhere that I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
So hello to you, Claire, in Matawan.
Thank you very, very much, Claire. It was very, very kind.
Yeah, thank you. It was very nice.
Yeah, it's interesting. But I did see somebody else tweeted this week saying that as much as the sisters' death felt like a mistake to them, they also kind of liked the fact that death means death. And because at some point, death isn't fair.
I know.
Death isn't kind. Look at the Lola stuff this week.
True.
There's not going to be any bringing Lola back, as much as the characters might want it. But I feel like the sisters, it shouldn't still feel like a mistake after all this time. I think is the problem.
Yeah, I agree.
It's been 6 years, 6, 7 years since the sisters died, and they're still so missed. And they are the sorts of characters where something outlandish might be allowed. I do understand the viewpoint of, oh, come on, it would just be ridiculous,
Yeah,
though, wouldn't it?
they've killed them off now. Get over
Yeah.
it. We're not over it, so
They're not over it. Simple as that.
bring them back.
Simple as that. So there we are then. Thank you very much, Ree. Thank you very much for viewing and for listening. I hope the Zoom thing is okay. We will be trying different things out as the weeks go on. Audio listeners are just unaware of any changes and are just strolling through life, unaware of the stresses that we go through to bring viewers the stuff. So good for them, I say. But Ree, how can people get in contact with us if they so wish?
You can find us on Facebook at Albert Square After Dark, on Twitter and Instagram at E20 After Dark. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can listen to us on Apple and all your favourite podcast sites. Email us at E20afterpod. Email us at E20afterdarkpodcast@gmail.com.
Get your words out, love. Come on, I know it's late.
Sorry about that. It's late. We've been
Thinking of an
doing
ice
this a
pop.
while.
You want another ice pop? That's what it is.
Could do with one after that. Sorry.
Right, you go and have an ice pop, love, and I will
Right.
go and have another cup of tea, and hopefully this will all work and seamless. It will be on screen on YouTube, absolutely seamless.
You guys haven't got a clue.
You haven't got a clue what we go through for you. Until next week, darling viewers and listeners, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
See you next week. Bye.
See you. Bye.